large area. So anyone in the warning, I want you to seek shelter, lowest level of your home and a basement if possible. In addition to the potential of brief tornadoes within this line of thunderstorms, extremely high winds here expected. So think about this long line of thunderstorms moving in with winds upwards of 60, 70, 80 miles per hour. Well, we could have a weak tornado that could also do that, but this is going through a large area. So there's likely going to be widespread wind damage coming in. We have gusts being reported here upwards of 60 to 65 miles per hour. So Kane, Kendall, and Grundy, I want you to be on alert right now. Let's switch over to radar, and here you can see some decent signature as well being picked up on velocity mode. So Kendall and Grundy County right around Morris and I-80, Saratoga and Morris, you're getting in on this storm action as well. We'll take you over to Live Doppler 7 Max radar mode. So you can see the area here that's being impacted by extremely heavy rain. Take a look right around Sandwich and Plano. You can see this right here. So this is indicating high return of reflectivity. So we have extremely heavy rain coming down, and within the leading edge of this thunderstorm activity, what we're going to find are basically blinding heavy rain coming down. So almost hard to point out if there was a tornado touchdown. No spotters confirming that just yet, but the potential is here for this area under the warning. Kane and Kendall, this tornado warning remains in effect until 3:45. So this has just been updated now. A lot of information coming in with extremely high winds. Looking at the very latest with this tornado warning, producing storms located here, line near Elburn to Sugar Grove, Yorkville to about 8 miles southeast of Plano, and this storm is moving at about 60 miles per hour. So what I want to do is put a track on this storm, which is under the tornado warning until 3:45. Live Doppler 7 Max, we take a look here. We track this out. Off to the east we go. Remember, these are moving quickly, so out ahead of this line, you need to be aware, stay alert, have that severe weather safety plan ready to go. You want your safe spot in your home. So Aurora, this would be getting close to you at about 3:24 in the next couple of minutes. That's how fast these storms are moving. West Chicago getting closer to about 3:28. Naperville 3:30. So you can see over the next 5 to 10 to 15 minutes, these storms are knocking on the door. They're going to get closer to downtown Chicago at around 3:45 to 4 o'clock. But the potential here definitely for some damaging winds within these storms, and we are always on alert and on guard when we get those tornado warnings issued. We had a tornado warning issued up towards the north and west. That has just expired for the Rockford area, but we're still noting some decent velocity signatures coming up towards McHenry. So for those of you in McHenry County, stay indoors, stay alert. Severe thunderstorm warning in place for you, but it's really this velocity, the signatures here on the leading edge of this line of thunderstorm activity that's moving through parts of Kane, Kendall, and Grundy County. So we'll widen this out, put this into motion, and give you an idea here of how these storms are evolving and moving. So you can see the line here, and Phil was pointing this out, that little spin. So within this thunderstorm, the line, we get a little spin here, a little mesocyclone, and that allows for rotation within the thunderstorm, and that's why we have some tornado warnings issued for parts of the area right now, remaining in effect until 3:45 as this line continues to move off to the east. So in addition to that warning, we also have severe thunderstorm warnings on the map until about 3:45 for parts of Cook County. So all of northern Illinois under some type of warning right now in our viewing area, whether it be a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning with a lot of lightning. And the severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect for our area until 7 p.m. tonight. So here is this line on satellite and radar combined. You can see that watch box in yellow. So we're in the zone right now. This is going to be with us here for the next 2 to 3 to even 4 hours as it continues to race to the east and then moves into northwest Indiana. So you need to be on your guard as well. Notice a lot of lightning here along I-80 to the north. So the counties here that really are going to get hit the hardest will be Lake McHenry, Cook County, DuPage, and then Kane, Kendall, Grundy. You're getting in on this right now with a lot of you under that tornado warning. So Phil, we're keeping an eye on this, looking at the storm reports coming in as well. What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, you know, just multiple little spin-ups, but the storms are moving. The entire line is moving so quickly. By the time we get another sweep, the circulation is either gone or it's moved several miles. So it's very difficult to track these storms as they move eastward, at least the exact points where we are seeing rotation. Some quick tornado safety tips. Obviously, get away from the second story. Most damage to many buildings occurs on the top floor. Avoid windows. I know you want to look out, but this is not the time to look out, not with a storm like this. Get to the basement, stay under something sturdy. That's what's really key here, because this is not a situation you want to take lightly, because even if you don't get a tornado, many of you will think that had to be a tornado. Straight line winds can cause every bit as much damage as a tornado, at least compared to most tornadoes. So there's that tornado warning. It's in effect for another 20 minutes for most of Kane, Kendall, and parts of, well, now just Kane and Kendall counties until 3:45. And look at all the severe thunderstorm warnings, including here in the city, as this line is just racing eastward. Just a nasty line with these little mini circulations at the front edge of it. And at times we are seeing the velocity display, especially back here in this orange-red. And you see how it's kind of like what we call bulldogging eastward, almost like that little nose. That's where we are seeing some very strong winds moving through DeKalb County and into Kane County as well. A little bit of rotation there southwest of Yorkville, and also right along the leading edge. You get these little notches, as Cheryl was talking about, and you can get these quick spin-ups in a quick tornado that lasts just a few minutes. So that's something else that we're going to have to keep a close eye on as we head through the next, say, 45 minutes to an hour, as this entire line is going to race just so incredibly eastward. There is also the concern for Seiche later on along the lakefront, as the water will be pushed away from the lakefront and then come sloshing back in, and that could cause some lakeshore flooding. So be aware of that. There you see the severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for 3:45 for Cook, DuPage, Lake, and Will counties. Back to the west, you can see there has been some hail with this, with the largest hail just west of Marengo. Hail's not the main concern here. I think damaging winds will be our biggest concern, and that severe thunderstorm watch, it's in effect until 7 o'clock, though I think the worst of this for most of our area will be over by 5, 6 o'clock. You can see our future radar showing those storms by 4:30, continuing to move through the area. 5 o'clock, we'll still be in the thick of it. But then look what happens. By about 6 o'clock, the worst of the storms will be in northwest Indiana. And by 7, 8 o'clock, the storms will move out of here, and the rest of the night should be fairly quiet. And that's setting us up for some fairly pleasant weather for the next couple of days. But first, we got to get through the next couple of hours. That's the concern. Those, not just the tornado threat, but incredibly strong winds, which could be gusting at times, Cheryl, to 80 miles per hour. We've already seen the reports back to the west, and it's moving right through our area here now, and it will continue to do so for at least the next couple of hours. Cheryl.
Yeah, exactly. We're in the heart and the thick of this, and the National Weather Service has actually now extended this tornado warning farther to the east. So let's backtrack just a little bit. We do still have the tornado warning in effect for Kane and Kendall until 3:45. Kane and Kendall right around Yorkville, just up to the north and west. We are seeing extremely heavy rain and winds upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour. That means you need to be indoors. Regardless of the tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning, everyone needs that safe place today, because these winds potentially will do damage. Damaging wind gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour. But let's move to the east just a little bit. So out ahead of this line, because we are finding the rotation on the leading edge of these thunderstorms, what we're finding is another tornado warning that was just issued for DuPage and Will counties. And now this remains in effect until 4 p.m. So Naperville, all of DuPage, stretching down into Will, right around Joliet. So this is basically the northern corner here, northwest corner of Will County, right along I-55 within this zone for the tornado warning. So this storm is going to quickly move in to your counties here over the next 5 to 10 minutes. These storms are moving upwards of 60 miles per hour. We're looking at our storm spotters out there in the field right now. So no confirmed tornado touchdown as of right now, but the potential here for this storm to produce a potential potentially strong tornado not out of the question. So this is why you need to be in your safe place. And Phil was just going over those guidelines. Whenever a tornado warning is issued, you need to take the necessary actions. You want to move to the lowest level of your home, a basement if possible. If you don't have a basement, then interior room on the lowest level of your home. Always in a bathroom or closet, if it's away from any walls or windows, is a great place. Stay away from those windows. You want to think about covering your head. Keep your shoes on. You may want a blanket or a pillow to bring with you, and always seek shelter. Get to a sturdy building. You don't want to be traveling with these storms moving on through. So just keeping an eye and looking at the very latest here as we dissect this radar. Tornado warnings we want to keep up to date with. So what we're seeing right now is that tornado warning now that was just continued off to the east for parts of DuPage and Will County, which remains in effect until 4 o'clock. So still parts of Kane and Kendall, you're still in this zone. However, this is going to quickly cross over and move in to areas in DuPage and Will. So let's zoom on in. So in the path of this storm, we are talking about Bloomingdale, Wayne, West Chicago. If I'm saying your city, you're in this tornado warning under it. So you need to get to your safe spot. Wheaton, Naperville, Downers Grove, you are out ahead of this. Western Springs, Burr Ridge, Bolingbrook. Regardless of tornado touchdown or not, this storm is producing winds upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour. Plainfield down towards Shorewood, Lockport, Joliet. This is the area in that zone for the potential of a few tornadoes, not out of the question here. This is a dangerous line of showers and storms. Let's switch modes. I'm going to switch over to velocity, check in on here. And as Phil was mentioning, it's almost hard to pick up on discrete circulation within a long, strong line of thunderstorms, what we're finding. But what happens on the leading edge of these storms, it's running into the inflow, and it's allowing for these storms to basically rotate on the leading edge of that line. So what we're going to find here is you can see some greens next to some reds here beginning to push into parts of DuPage County, right around West Chicago, Wheaton, Bloomingdale. So look at that. Look at that brighter green as well. So those higher reflectivity values coming in on velocity, that is indicating higher wind speeds. I've been querying some of the wind speeds coming in from these storms, upwards of 60 miles per hour, those winds potentially at the surface. So that's going to do a lot potentially of damage in terms of trees, minor wind damage, also power outages potentially here across the area over the next couple of hours. Bloomingdale, Wheaton, you are in the path of this storm. This is crossing over right along 64 there and just to the north of I-88. We'll go a little bit farther to the south, checking in on the velocity as well. Naperville, Plainfield, Lockport, you are in this zone where we have the potential of some rotation as well. So we still, not only do we have the tornado warning in effect until 4 o'clock, but we still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for parts of the area here now until 4:15. By about 6, 7 o'clock, the line of showers and storms will be out of here, but it's right now over the next 2 hours that we need to be concerned about here as we go into the next 2 to 3 hours. In addition, a whole lot of lightning coming in with these storms. So there's that severe thunderstorm warning. Grundy, Kane, Kendall, McHenry, Cook County, and now another severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Northwest Indiana because we're trying to keep ahead of the line of storms moving oh so quickly. So Jasper, Lake, Newton, and Porter County here, you're now under the severe thunderstorm warning until 5 p.m. Again, the main threat here will be strong damaging winds upwards of 60, 70 miles per hour. I'm going to take a look at storm reports coming in from these storms just out back west in Iowa, where we had reports upwards of about 60, 70, some reports coming in of 80 mile per hour winds. Just how this storm evolved and continued to come together, and it's still accelerating so quickly to the east is just very impressive. So as we put satellite and radar into motion, here's the storm now. It was way back to the north and west this morning. It was getting its act together. And then what you're noticing here is this bowing. When you see this represented here on satellite and radar, when we have that bowing segment, think about a bow and arrow. These are these storms bowing out because they have so much wind speed and high wind speed in the upper levels of the atmosphere, just accelerating these storms to the east. So on the leading edge of this line of storms, we're worried about some rotation and brief tornado touchdowns. But in addition, widespread wind damage will be a huge concern. So it's not only here, you can see down towards parts of central and southern Illinois getting hit as well. And then a new severe thunderstorm watch box issued for parts of Michigan as well as Indiana. So this storm is definitely going to leave its mark here. Take a look at the storm reports. I wanted to check in on these, and you can see the line here. Now, we are talking, this is now over 100, almost 150 miles of storm reports coming in of wind damage. So this is basically a derecho moving through. What is that? That's a strong line of thunderstorms that basically rides in a straight line for a few hundred miles and basically just knocks out and does a lot of wind damage. So that's the main concern with this storm system moving through right now. And parts of the area under that moderate risk out of 1 to 5. Moderate here, heart of downtown Chicago, where we're seeing the warnings issued right now, under that 4, which what we're finding, widespread severe storms in the area. And that has been the concern for us throughout the morning and the afternoon. So we're definitely continuing to monitor this. Phil, let's backtrack. I know you are keeping your eye on these tornado warnings that have been issued in the area for parts of DuPage and Will County now until 4 o'clock. What are you seeing?
Well, you know, as you pointed out, Cheryl, these are not your typical supercells where you get the individual cell and you get a very defined rotation. What you get is this line of nasty storms, and we're continuing to see these brief spin-ups along that line. So we do have this tornado warning in effect for DuPage and Will counties. That's in effect until 4 o'clock. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean there will be tornadoes in these areas, but it does mean there has been some circulation along the leading edge of these storms. Right now, you can see these storms as they are moving east. This is the velocity display, and you see those reds and especially the magenta showing up back to the west. That's where we're getting winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour. So you might not get a tornado, but you will get some very strong winds. There's the meso-low spinning away right along the Illinois-Wisconsin line, the nasty line of storms with that bow hook, as we like to call it, or the bow shaped right there. That's the storms that are now moving through the area and will be with us for the next several hours. The leading edge of these storms, well, you can see how they're going to move eastward. By about 4 to 5, they will reach the city, and there will probably be plenty of wind just before that, and closer to, say, 5:15, 5:20 for you folks in Gary. Right now, the worst of the storms just about to move into DuPage County. Severe thunderstorm warnings in effect virtually area-wide. You just don't see that very often, and you do want to take your necessary precautions with this thing, as that severe thunderstorm watch is in effect until 7 o'clock. Again, we do have that tornado warning in effect for DuPage and Will counties. Here are some of your tornado safety tips. Get away from the second story. Get somewhere downstairs, preferably into your basement. That's where the safest place is. Obviously, avoid windows and get under something sturdy as this line of nasty, severe storms continues to move eastward across the area. Let's go over to Greg, who has much more on these storms.
Yeah, Phil, I'll tell you what. First of all, I sent my family into the basement because this is not just your typical line of thunderstorms. That is absolutely for sure here, is this line stretches extremely far from, well, north of Waukegan all the way through DuPage and northern Will County, as we were talking about, and then down off to the south of that. And I am really glad that the National Weather Service has gone ahead and issued this tornado warning for such a large area, which is also something that you don't see, because along the leading edge of this, as you said, scan to scan, we get different looks, and the rotation, the areas of rotation will jump around up and down the line. Again, switching into velocity mode, and you can see it's a hubbub of greens next to reds, next to other greens, next to bright reds, and that's because there's so much circulation, so much violence of the air entering the system that you get little spin-up tornadoes. We just had the biggest shock of wind, at least the initial one, move through my area out in DuPage County, and the worst of it's probably about to come, as you can see from my live shot. The trees have started to slow down just a little bit, but here's the thing. Again, that was just that initial little shock wave of the storms. Look what is still to arrive in portions of not only DuPage County, but also northern Will County, too. You can see that leading edge, kind of the brighter greens that just got through Naperville. Again, that's the leading edge there down near Joliet. And then on the back side of this, we call this the rear inflow jet. That area where the reds actually turn back over to some white colors and even some almost orangish colors. colors, that's another area where we'll see a very big swath of wind kind of pounding in on the backside of the system. And that's why we're so concerned and why it'll be such a long duration thing. This isn't just a thunderstorm where you get a quick burst of 50, 60, maybe even 70-mile-per-hour winds on some of our normal strong ones, and then it's out of here. This will be a sustained 15, 20, maybe 25-minute period where you're seeing winds that'll be at the baseline 40 miles per hour and may even be in excess of 75 or even up to 100 miles per hour, some of the winds that were recorded back in Iowa. You can actually track this using power outages back through the state of Iowa and now into Illinois. At the latest check here, I'm actually pulling up a fresh Illinois power outage map, up to 98,522 customers that are out of power. And it would not surprise me if we start seeing power losses in not only Kendall County, but also DuPage County, into Grundy County, Will County too, as they've already extended into DeKalb and also LaSalle counties. So we're going to be seeing those numbers, I bet, go up over the next couple of minutes. Again, switching back over to the radar mode now, and I want to show you again this warning, which continues the shock wave of the strongest winds, at least the initial ones, now through Naperville. Again, there's a back edge, as you can see, kind of blowing now in my live shot, that'll probably get these winds back up to about 60, maybe even 70 miles per hour again. And this is pushing towards Chicago and racing towards Chicago. So let's put a line on the front edge of this and track it off to the east at 65 miles per hour. That puts it in Chicago in the next about 15 to 30 minutes, and then on the state line of Indiana and Illinois in about the next half hour. I'm going to send it on over to Cheryl with the latest updates and see if we've seen any new storm damage reports in the last couple of minutes. Cheryl?
Yeah, watching those reports coming in, and you're exactly right. These winds are just exceeding 60, 70 miles per hour. So this is just a very strong line of thunderstorms. We actually have some images coming in. Take a look right now how dark the skies are here. This is over the Jane Addams Expressway right now. A lot of lightning, and looking at this storm, a little concerned. You can see a little bit of a lowering of the cloud structure there. Also how ominous it is. That storm there moving to the north and west, or it will continue to move to the east, but up to the north and west, will continue to bring extremely heavy rain as well as gusty wind. So this is just a sign of the skies of what we're looking at. And here's a live look over Naperville right now. You are under the tornado warning. You can see the winds and the trees blowing out there. A lot of lightning flashes coming in as well. You can see that rain coming down. We could even see some isolated flooding out of this very heavy rain with the strong line of thunderstorms moving in. So definitely something we are monitoring and are going to have to. A lot of reports coming in not only of heavy rain and high winds, but also some hail. Golf ball size hail was just reported near Caton Farm and County Line Road in Plainfield. So golf ball size hail these storms are producing. Not only now do we have the wind, we also have the large hail factor as well within these storms. So I'm starting you here with velocity, and Greg was talking about even we have this strong line of storms. You can see those reds and the greens. So this is the leading edge of these thunderstorms, and you can see a lot of green next to red. That means we have a lot of notches, a lot of inflow, and the potential here for circulation. But notice back to the west, we're going to take a look here and query some of the velocity, and you can see these numbers coming in close to 70 miles per hour, even behind the line of thunderstorms. Granted, where we're getting this reading from is up in the atmosphere, but those winds reaching the surface still at about 50, likely to 65 miles per hour, even out or behind the line of thunderstorms. And then right along the main line is where we're finding those winds of about 20 to 50 miles per hour. But it's really where we find these notches within the storm that we have to be aware of. So Bloomingdale, you can see here a little bit of a notch, that inflow there's definitely some strong winds being indicated. That will continue to cross over 290, 355 there, right around Elmhurst. Wheaton, this is just now racing through your area as well with a lot of heavy rain. Downers Grove, Westmont, Bolingbrook. So this is now really entering very populated areas here in the Chicago area, DuPage and Will County, and then it will continue to work its way into Cook. Let's backtrack for a second. If you're just joining us, we now have a new tornado warning that was just issued, I believe, for Cook and DuPage County until 4:30. So these warnings are just really coming in, and we're keeping you up to date as they do. So as we zoom in here for this warning, this is just to the north of the city. We zoom on in, and here it is. Cook and DuPage County until 4:30. So this is out of the Elmhurst area, Oak Park, Niles, Evanston in the path of this storm as well, Winnetka, Bloomingdale. This is coming from the storm that has the tornado warning already in place as of right now. So out ahead of it, we're going to be prepared in this area because this is where we're finding some rotation. We were just noting that on velocity right around Bloomingdale there. So let's track right here this storm that's going to continue. I mean, this storm is racing at 70 miles per hour. Elk Grove at about 345, Cicero at 351, Niles 353, getting closer to Chicago at the 4 o'clock hour. So this is in the next 10 to 15 minutes. You're in this area. I want you in your safe place, the lowest level of your home, basement, if possible. I'm going to switch over here to velocity mode because we did just get this new warning in, which is encompassing a smaller area. So it's right around Bloomingdale that we're looking for this rotation, Addison, Elk Grove, and I want to also put on some storm tracks to see if we are picking up on that rotation within the thunderstorm. But what we're finding is rotation possible and indicated on radar with this new warning that was just issued for this area. So we need to be alert and be on guard as we continue to monitor these new storms. Okay, now we have a new tornado warning that was just issued for Lake and McHenry County to the north. So we're getting a lot of warnings in. We're going to go warning by warning so you guys know where you are, what you need to do. We just talked about this new tornado warning that has been issued for Cook and DuPage County until 4:30. So if you're in this zone, please seek shelter out ahead of the storms that have already been warned. We still do have that tornado warning for DuPage and Will until 4 p.m. and we have been talking about that. So that's an intense line of those storms that will continue to race to the east. But now let's add another one. We have another tornado warning that was just issued for Lake and McHenry, this one until 4:45. So these storms are just showing a lot of rotation, as we can tell. Well, look, you can see a little bit of a low back here. So there's a lot of spin. Let me put this into motion for you so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Here I put this into motion. Look at that rapid spin, a little bit of a meso low forming within this line of storms moving through northern Illinois. So that's allowing for some spin. On the leading edge of this line is where brief tornadoes can spin up.